Alright, guys. It's been quite some weeks. I haven't been reading this book, The Four Agreements. I put it down for a while. Because I just wasn't, I don't know, it got heavy, and then I kind of just wasn't in a mindset to really keep reading it, but, because I have a lot of other stuff to figure out, but pages 75, 76, 77. We're starting out on the last agreement, the fourth agreement. Always do your best. Basically for my notes, I wrote that everything changes. So, excuse me, I'm yawning. Wow. So it says, the part that stuck out to me, page 75 going into page 76 at the bottom to the top of the next page. Keep in mind that your best is never going to be the same from one moment to the next. Everything is alive and changing all the time. So your best will sometimes be high quality, and other times it will not be as good. So, I like that idea of looking at how things change often, because they do. And I'm a prime example, right? I record often daily episode updates about my days. Some days I'm spot on, other days I shoot for, things to happen, and then they just don't. But I do like keeping track of it, which is why I like doing a form of like audio journaling, kind of jotting down some notes of what I did. I try not to be too strict with the timestamps, but it kind of gives me a good gauge of like, okay, like, how are my exercise routines? How was my sleep? Did I take anything for my sleep? How was my energy in the morning? Did I take anything for my energy in the morning? Did I take anything to get myself up to work out if I didn't feel like it? Am I taking things? Am I doing some kind of meditative activities? What am I doing that works? Or am I doing anything that's working? Or am I wallowing in things and letting it kind of get in my way? Or do I actually need a break? Or can I push past the discomfort? There was a line in this show, I don't know exactly the exact details, but if you've seen on Netflix Colin Black and White, about Colin Kaepernick as a youth and a teen, preteen, I think he was like 14 years old or so, a gifted athlete, and it's a drama series, has a lot of ideas about racial topics and prejudice and privilege and minorities and just different things like that. And the show shows that he's raised by white parents, Caucasian and black kid, light skinned, has black hair, and there's some just some prejudice he experiences, and he starts questioning kind of the Caucasian people in his life. Are they treating me this way because of my race? But otherwise he's just trying to focus on athletics, and he realizes Um, yeah, there's this one time where he tells his coach, he has a headache and he's not feeling too well, something along those lines. And the coach tells him, go run a couple laps. And the guy who plays Colin is like, questioning it, kind of like, I told you I'm not feeling good and I have a headache and you want me to go run, but then the coach kind of explains himself like, yeah, I want you to go run so that you know that when you have a headache and when you don't feel good, you can still do it, and I know in, some Asian cultures, there's this kind of, saying, this kind of like fighting, like people just say like fighting, or there's the whole like ganbate, like kind of like do your best, like in Japanese, just telling someone to do their best, and just phrases like that are supposed to help people to kind of do their best. In Western modern American culture, I don't really know what people say. I mean, people say things like break a leg. It's like, I know that's like sarcastic, but it's kind of like weird, because I feel like there is kind of like a power in words. Like, you don't want to say anything you don't mean. You don't want to say anything too like rude sounding, or yeah, you don't want to say anything rude. But yeah, when somebody says something like when somebody says something like that, like break a leg, it's kind of like, I mean, everyone knows what it means, but it's kind of like, I don't know. I never really know about that. I'm kind of like, I've never felt comfortable saying that to somebody. Because people can kind of get in their heads about stuff, and but I can totally relate to what it's talking about with doing your best, gauging what your best is, and it talks about something that, there's an idea I came across recently too that is interesting, that the book is also mentioning it, because, I was always kind of like powering through with everything, and the book kind of mentions, you don't want to maybe completely deplete yourself so that you have to take more days to recover, So an example of that, an easy example, is probably like exercise, right? If you haven't exercised for a while, but you want to like be consistent, say you're like, I want to exercise for the next 8 days straight, make it like one day more than a week, than a whole week. I want to exercise for the next 8 days straight, right? Now, if you exercise full, like your hardest, after being cold, kind of maybe a little out of shape, a little, your flexibility's off, your hydration's off, everything's a little off because you've been maybe a couple weeks of couch potato mode, maybe having some drinks and smoking and not really taking care of health, staying indoors, not getting sunlight, not stretching, not walking, not eating healthy, ordering pizza for dinner and donuts for breakfast, and just kind of living that life, staying up late, pounding coffee to kind of get going in the morning. And you're not going to be your best when you start at day one, but say you have a pre-workout and start day one, and you're like, I'm just gonna get pumped up and like work out as hard as I can, and you go hard, you get on the treadmill at the gym and you start actually like pushing and jogging and running, and you run past what you said you can do, what you think you can do, and you're pushing and you're huffing and you're puffing and you're like bent over sweating and almost can't, you know you basically waste all your energy. Now the next day you might feel a little bit okay from that workout, but the day after that, usually by day 3 from that first workout, you're gonna be really sore. Say if you didn't work out any other days, you'll be really sore. You'll start feeling it by day 2, like by the end of day 2. So that's gonna cut into days 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 that you're really sore. So, I mean, people can work out whatever way. I mean, it's not gonna like kill you to work out while you're sore, but if you're just sore all the time, if you're already having trouble working out, that might make it harder for you to push for 8 days, right? It's like you might be better off, some people might be better off taking an approach of, doing some exercise just to warm it up the first day, and then going a little harder the second day, and then maybe the third day going a little bit harder, and incrementally going a little bit harder versus going as hard as possible the first day. Now, one thing with momentum is sometimes going really hard the first day just feels better, and you're like, wow, I did all that. And mentally, your brain kind of like shifts of like, wow, I can really do that. I can do a lot. And so, at times when you do notice you can do a lot, and you do see that you can do a whole lot, sometimes it's really exciting. It's nice and exciting to see that you can do a whole lot. And even if you are sore, you might not care, So it really depends kind of person to person, what your experience really is like, what you really are feeling. You might get a much different feel for things. So yeah, it might really depend on a lot of different approaches. You might actually be pretty well off to you might be pretty well off to be able to like still be able to kind of reach your goals. But doing your best doesn't always mean going past your health limits. That's one thing that I've been trying to learn, is like the balance between what is depleting my energy so I can't continue working towards goals, and what is helping me gain momentum. It can be hard to tell the difference between like, is this hindering me or is this helping me? And so yeah, sometimes it's just hard to tell, but I guess with that, I don't have too much more to say about that. That's about as far as I got with those ideas, but yeah, with that, thanks for listening.